Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of To Whom It May Concern. Today, I am going to be leading the episode because it looks like Will has kind of just disappeared on us. He was here a second ago, but...
Sure about that! Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the most radical show on the internet, To Whom It May Concern. Yeah!
Oh, we found him.
Yeah!
Or someone who looks
Sorry.
like him.
I would like to apologize for that intro. I just wanted to do it because I thought it would be a different way to start it.
Approximately 5 seconds before we started, he said, "Wait a minute," and he takes off his glasses and he just puts on sunglasses.
Yeah, right now, for context, I'm in a different room that's it's a guest room right now, but it's honestly just a room that like just stores like wherever, and it's like
Including
these
Will.
glasses were sitting on the desk, and I was just like, yeah, I'll wear these just for a funny little intro. So I guess the best way to start this off is by congratulating Steven on winning the Powerade and Gatorade challenge.
If you want to call it winning, I really just proved that I was right, but I mean, I disproved Will's point.
Well, no, you disproved it. My point was that you wouldn't be able to tell so easily, but you did.
It was very easy.
And to that, I'm mad.
It was very easy. I didn't even have to taste them. They smell different. I could tell just by smelling them. There is a difference.
Now, you see, I think this is a point of just Steven just being a freak. Just being a sports drink freak. If I were to do this to anybody else, they would have some level of difficulty. But because he is a sports drink freak, that's why he was able to do it so easily.
I like how you try to label me.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Steven is a freak. That's the title.
He's labeling me as a sports drink freak when literally the only two sports drinks that I have ever had has been Gatorade and Powerade.
In that case, you might as well be called a Gatorade Powerade freak. If you want to get more specific.
I mean, I prefer Powerade, so I don't really drink Gatorade that often, but I can tell the difference.
Get a load of this guy. He can tell drinks apart. What a nerd. What a nerd.
I'm just better. I'm just built like that.
Alright. But anyways, moving on from that, I would like to start this...
As you may have noticed, Will and I are finally back home for the holidays. Since the last episode we recorded, I think we were still in...
Indeed. I only just acknowledged the room I was in, being kind of like a guest room, but also kind of like an abandoned room.
My room is my room. It's kind of been repurposed.
I don't really have a desk in my room, so that's why I decided to come down here for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm using.
So that's why I'm down here.
My dad's like he has like some work issued stuff because like he works from home. He's a software developer, so he works from home and he has like some work issued desk stuff that he doesn't actually use. So I'm just using it while I'm here.
That is very interesting. I just love the fact that no one asked. Anyways, sorry, that was mean. Anyways,
I mean, it's not wrong.
Let's start off this episode by talking about me. My favorite subject. Not that I'm a narcissist or anything. It's just I just wanted to talk about my wacky adventures in New Orleans. So for those who don't know, in case you're new here, I go to Jack State. I go to Jack State University, and this year we had our very first bowl game, basically being like a championship type thing, because of the fact that we entered a new conference.
A championship. You guys aren't that good.
But
you got to play one game. You got to play one game beyond the postseason.
For those who, it's kind of postseason. That's, I guess, a better way of describing it. But basically,
actually, I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm just not gonna say anything.
Okay. We'll see how long that you're able to do that. So
I'm not gonna say anything about this particular topic.
You already failed.
I'm not gonna say anything about.
You said you were gonna shut your mouth, and you already failed.
I'm not gonna say anything about this particular topic. Also, fun fact: I just checked because I was curious. Jacksonville State did win the bowl game by 3 points in overtime. It appears. I was curious because I was gonna, if they lost, okay, I was gonna make fun of Will about it. But unfortunately,
can I tell my story?
No.
Can I do it?
No.
Well, I'm just gonna ignore Steven. All right.
I mean, you do enough of that already.
By the way, because one other thing I would like to point out, we got a couple new subscribers off of the short that we released earlier this week about the Gary and Perry thing. So to those new people, yes, every episode is going to be this crazy. So can you please get used to it and keep watching, please?
This is the norm for us.
Anyways,
this is just how the episodes go. This is just how things work here.
So all that talk about like the conference and everything, all that to say, this game was a pretty big deal. So, in order to prepare for it, as opposed to going there for like 2 days, one day just getting there, just be there, and then the next day to like play the game, the coaches had the lovely idea of how do we just spend 5 days in this entire town?
They care about the players, not the film crew.
Well, I mean, the film crew got to be there for 5 days as well. So,
well, you say got
the game was on Saturday. The game was on Saturday, and we traveled to New Orleans on Tuesday.
I think didn't we discussed this in a previous episode, and you were joking about like on the plane, like flying back from New Mexico State, where you played the last like in-season game. And then you were joking about like finding out that you were going to a bowl game, and all the players were celebrating, and all the film crew was like, "No!"
Yeah, and I think the last episode too, it was literally recorded the day before I headed out to New Orleans with the rest of the players. So, I would like to tell a funny story about that, about how everyone went. I almost didn't go. You want to know why?
Well, no, I actually do want to hear this. I'm intrigued.
So the plan for the day was to wake up at 5:30 in the morning because I had to be at the office by 6:30 in the morning. And the reason why we were meeting up at 6:30 is because the buses were going to leave at 7:30. So everyone was going to meet together and basically move all the computers, all the stuff that we needed to have loaded onto the bus and to just get on the bus in a timely manner. So I knew about the fact that I was going to have to be there on time, so I set an alarm for 5:30. What I did not realize at the time was I had set it to 5:30 p.m.
I've done that before. I've done that before with my alarm. Accidentally set it to p.m. I feel that.
Guess what time I ended up waking up?
I don't know, like 7.
Woke up, I looked at my phone, and I saw several missed calls, several text messages, and a time that read 7:23. 7 minutes to get everything packed together and for me to run to the buses before they left at 7:30. Because as I was told, at 7:30 they would leave and they would not be waiting for me. So you can imagine
the several. I would have been.
I saw that. I just went into supersonic mode, just like grabbing anything that looked important, putting it all together, and then just packing it up, carrying all of it, and then I just zoomed out of my dorm room, zoomed out of the dorm hall, and the buses and the entire office was a good 5-minute walk that I had to turn into a 2-minute run because.
And as you may or may not have been able to tell, Will is not exactly the athletic type.
That's besides the point. Look, it took about 4 minutes to get everything together, so it was about 7:27 something. So I had only 3 minutes to run out the hall and run straight to what's usually a 5-minute walk. So I ran, and what was worse was the athletic pants I had on, because I stuffed everything into my pockets, and because they weren't very well tied, the weight of everything ended up making my pants fall, so I had to spend some time slowing down just to try and pull it back up. Like, had I not done that, I think they would have legit dropped my, like, foot. And it's just like,
I mean, it would have been a funny sight to see.
On this trip desperately, but I ain't that desperate to just let. And also, it was cold outside. Keep it in mind too. So once I got on the once I made it, I barely made it to the buses. I just sat down and I just spent the next 15 minutes trying to calm my breath and try to get rid of the cough that I developed, because I was just frantically breathing in the cold air, which, you know.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised I didn't end up getting a sickness from that, which I was worried about, but I ended up feeling fine on the trip. So that's that. But that's part of the story about how, that's the entire story about how my trip started. Now, the next 5 days, not a whole lot of interesting stuff happened. I could go into detail about like the different places we went to and like the different type of people we met, but to make a long story short, it was pretty fun. You know, I ate a lot of good food, and you know, there was a lot of good music in New Orleans. Like, it's a very active city, especially at night. So when walking, you'll find people just like performing music.
Yeah.
Like on the street, like whether it be like a whole band or like someone with the drums, just like.
I think
it's a very lively city. I would love to go again.
I think New Orleans is one of those places where like hasn't some forms of music like originated from there or something?
I believe that's true. Yeah, a lot of music history resides in New Orleans, as well as a lot of famous musicians come from there. Mm-hmm. The only example I can really think of is Lil Wayne, which I'm pretty sure that name means nothing to you.
No,
because you're uncultured. But
because I'm uncultured.
But yeah,
yeah, my hasn't watched Scooby-Doo self.
Yeah, but yeah, it was honestly a really fun time. I would love to go there again. You know. And yeah, that's basically my trip to New Orleans, and that concludes the first topic, unless you want to add anything else to this kind of small talk segment.
Well, I don't know. I didn't exactly go to New Orleans with you, so I don't really have much to say on the matter.
Oh yeah, and I also was meaning to open with this, but I'm going to take this moment too. I hope you're all having a Merry Christmas. By the time this episode comes out, it's going to be about 3 days before Christmas Day. So the next episode is going to come out after Christmas. So I just want to take this opportunity to say how I hope all y'all are having a Merry Christmas. You know, spend some time with the family. You know, I hope y'all got each other's presents. I hope y'all enjoy presents, all that good stuff.
We're recording this episode on Thursday, and Christmas is on Monday, so we're getting close. I just want to say, like, Christmas feels like it's come very fast this year. I swear December started like a week ago.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like December came like a lot sooner. Well, okay, no, it's like for me, anyways. December has felt very brief.
Yeah,
it's been a very brief.
It's like nothing has really happened. Cause like I'm used to like, cause like I went to college in August. Obviously, I started going to college. Right. I finished my first semester, so like I'm used to the college life of like having classes every day and having to get up and have places to go every single day. And now that I'm at home and like I don't have a job, like I do delivery type stuff to make money, but I don't have like an actual job. So I don't have like a schedule. I don't have anywhere that I have to go on any given day.
Yeah.
So I don't really
I will say too, like,
I don't really have anything that I don't really necessarily have anything that I'm doing. So it's just kind of felt like, you know, the time has just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. When you're not doing anything for like a specific amount of days, like this whole week, for the most part, for myself, has just been, you know, kind of like taking a chill pill and just like, you know, just relaxing. Like I've been doing some stuff, but you know, not to the level that I was doing stuff back in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just glad to be free from the school assignments at the very least.
I kind of am too, honestly. I have enjoyed the break of just not having to like, It's very rare. It's very rare, and it's been a long time since I've been able to say to like, not have to say for several days in a row, like look at the calendar and be like, oh, I don't have anything that I have to do tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
It feels so great to be able to say that.
Yeah, and also for me, anyways, what's the word? I'm optimistic. I was about to say opportunistic, but it's optimistic.
He's opportunistic.
I'm optimistic that next semester will be a lot better than this previous semester because I'll have a lot less going on.
Also, fun fact about college for me, I only did like the last semester was my first semester, so I've only technically done one semester. But because of all the dual enrollment credits that I transferred over, apparently they are considering me a sophomore next semester. So.
Oh, really?
So I didn't actually know about that until my parents told me. But yeah.
Well, I have a feeling that like flight school is like you progress a lot faster than a lot of other degrees because
I don't know.
Even though I'm sure there's a lot to learn when compared to other degrees, like how to like be a lawyer or something like that, it's considerably a lot less class time and more just like
it's more like
you just do it.
Yeah, you go like it. Yeah, you're right. It's less like sitting in a lecture hall and listening to someone talk, and it's more of like going and flying airplanes with like a flight instructor and just learning kind of on like you kind of do like active learning, like you learn by doing. Instead of learning from somebody sitting there and telling it to you.
I can just imagine the first day you show up and the professor's like, just go out there, just do it. Just do it. What are you doing here? Just go to a plane right now and fly
it. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Yeah, you'll get the hang of it. And even if you don't, hey, look.
It's not like
we got several of those other planes. So if you crash those, then yeah, we'll lose the plane, and we'll maybe feel bad about losing you alive.
We'll maybe feel bad about losing you. They're more concerned about the plane. They'll.
But yeah. All right. So sorry, hold on. I was trying to close my phone because I was checking notifications, but then I was trying to hit the thing, but it wasn't like shutting off, and I was like,
Don't pay attention to the blinding light that I've illuminated myself with. That's just the bright white background of Google Docs.
All right. Blinding light aside, next topic. So, Steven.
Yes.
You're aware of the concept of thinking, I have to assume.
What do you mean?
Clarify
what do you mean by thinking? I am not sure what you're talking about. Can you like describe it for me?
Thinking is the concept of forming thoughts.
Really? And are they like tangible things that you make, or are they like I'm not following.
All right, we're just going to ignore Steven. I'm just going to ask the audience this question. When it comes to animals like dogs, you know how they bark to communicate. Do they think in barks, or how do their thought process work? Because I know they have thought processes.
Well,
scientists have proven that they can't think for themselves. But the main question is, do they think in barks?
So I feel like, okay, so here's my take on this. So when we think about barks from dogs, we think about it as a form of communication, right? We would attribute...
Could you provide an example to what barking is?
We would attribute...
All the people who take clips of podcasts, take clip of this now.
We would...
Go ahead. Perform what a bark sounds like.
No, I was gonna say we would...
Do it.
No, I will not be barking.
Do it.
I will not be barking for the viewers.
Do it!
Woof.
There you go. Although if you wanted to be more accurate, you could have just been like...
Of course, he turns the filter on. But anyway, the example I'm trying to make,
that was just my natural voice.
Trying to be philosophical here, since this is our, well, it's actually our question to debate over. But
it's a debate question.
But
because I feel like we're going to debate on this.
My side of the debate, then, the argument I'm trying to make, we would attribute dogs barking as a mode of communication somewhat similarly to how humans communicate using, I was going to say English, but any language, really.
Any language. It's like spoken word.
Yeah,
basically.
Spoken words, yeah. So if we would kind of draw that similarity. So if we were to make that similarity, you would agree, I feel like most people would agree that they probably have an internal monologue, which is basically like...
Yeah.
Like your thought process in your head, like the words that you think about in your head, like it's kind of hard to describe, but it's called internal monologue. If you know what I'm talking about, then
it's very common, like in movies and stuff. So like for someone to like be like this, and in their head it's just like, should I have hot dogs for breakfast, or should I have tacos?
Yeah, but it's basically just like
that's being played throughout their head, but their facial expression is just like
that. Movies basically. And books represent it in that way, but it's basically just like the words that you think to yourself, like without saying them. But if we were to attribute the...
But how do dogs think?
Yeah, so if we were to attribute the barking as a mode of communication to speaking words as a mode of communication, make that similarity, then in the same way, we could make the similarity of an internal monologue for us in spoken words to a dog's internal monologue, which could be barking. However, I do want to say that the way that animals communicate, like, since animals are not like sentient beings in the same way that humans are, they do communicate with each other on a limited level, but they don't communicate with the same complexity that we do. And barking for dogs and like any kind of sound that any animal makes really is not necessarily a form of language. It's more just a form of expression. Like if you were, like think of dogs barking at each other, the different types of barks that they do. Think of that as being similar to the tones that we use when speaking, like to express feeling. It's kind of like that. I just think because like
I kind of see what you mean. Kind of see what you mean.
You could make the similarity of dogs having an internal monologue and barks, but that would require the prerequisite of barking being a form of language, and it's not necessarily really a language. It's a mode of communication, but it doesn't work the same way that speaking does with humans, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. And while you were talking, I thought of another question. For like someone who's deaf, who doesn't know what human language sounds like, and they're only able to sign language, do they think in sign language, or how does that work?
Well, I would say it depends on how long. Like if they've been deaf from birth and they've never heard speech at all.
Yeah, I'd say they never heard human speech ever.
Yeah.
Like, how would the thought process
Then
go?
I would imagine like... Obviously, if they've been deaf from birth, not only have they not heard speech, but they haven't been able to hear sound at all. So, like, their brain has never been able to register and process what sound is. So they probably don't have, like, they aren't able to process sound because their brain just doesn't have that information to be able to reference. So if they're thinking of, like, speech and having an internal monologue, then, yeah, they reasonably could think in sign language.
Okay. So I guess with the whole dog thing, it's more of like, because they are animals and like, you know, like I said, they do think.
Yeah, they do think.
It's not in the same way that humans think. So I think maybe it's just like understand. And to be clear, I've done no research on this question. I just kind of heard this question. I've just kind of heard this question from somewhere, and I was like, how about I talk to Steven about it instead of actually Googling it?
Because he expects me to know the answer.
Which I tend to do a lot with my questions. I tend to just bring it onto the podcast first.
He's using the podcast.
Which leads to a lot of just moments of me looking dumb.
The title of this episode is going to be, Will uses the podcast like Siri.
Yeah.
Instead of Googling things, he's asking me about them. To be clear, I didn't do any research on the topic either. I'm just pulling from like facts that I've accumulated over time.
Yeah, and I think in some way that's more fun than actually knowing. Like, yeah, misinformation is a problem, but I feel like people are.
If you're taking this podcast
like
seriously,
it's not that serious. You know, we're just talking about dogs thinking and barks, or do they not? It's just like, who's gonna get offended about us providing misinformation about this?
I don't know. Somebody in the comments section. You know how YouTube comment sections are.
That's the title of this episode. Will and Steven are going to feed you misinformation. Just that's it.
We've already established, like, it's already a well-established fact that nothing that we say on this podcast is meant to be taken seriously. If you
except when it is, honestly, like we have those moments, like just like our commentary on like the writer's strike, like we were being pretty serious with that. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like we don't take things seriously, except when we do.
Except how very I don't see how you could possibly get confused. It's laid out very clearly. I don't see like the problem. I don't see where there could be a lack of understanding. We are not taken serious. We're not serious except when we are. Like what part about that is so hard to understand?
Yeah, no, right. If you don't understand, then just understand. It's not that hard. That's our signature phrase. Just like if you don't understand, just understand. It's not that hard.
If you're not alive, then just be alive. It's not that hard.
Again, if you're new here, get used to this, and please find this entertaining.
There's gonna be people yelling at us in the comments section about telling them to get used to it, because people on the internet don't take kindly to being told what to do.
Alright then, how about change up the strategy? Don't understand what this podcast is about. Let's go reverse psychology on them. Alright.
Nah, we could even pull the gaslighting. You won't understand what this podcast is about. It's too complicated for you to handle.
Listen to me. You don't understand. Stop trying to think that you understand.
It's too complicated for you to handle. You're gonna hurt yourself if you try to understand. Just don't worry about it. You're not gonna get it, okay? It's clear that you are incapable of processing this. Just
okay. For the record, all this is a joke. Except when it isn't.
Except when it.
All right. So,
Will ruining our reputation.
What reputation?
Okay, fair enough, I guess.
Okay, that aside, y'all know it, y'all love it. I think y'all love it. I hope y'all love it. It's time for the Kanye segment. You're out of sync.
Yeah.
Or at least it was on my screen. If it turned into sync, whatever. Okay.
It's not about being in sync. It's the Kanye segment that matters.
All right. So, for those who don't know, Kanye is gearing up to drop an album. And as per usual, he is going about it the way no one else would. Basically, he's setting up a release date and then just like, actually, nah. He'll put up a new release date and then be like, nah.
It's the evolved form of the morning show where we canceled the show every episode.
Yeah. It's just like, and it's also just like, this song's gonna be on it. Nah. This song's gonna be on. Nah.
I read this. He has this written on the script as Kanye's new album delayed. This is a pattern.
Yeah, because this has been happening with a lot. This happens with a lot of his albums. It's pretty much expected at this point. Like this was the case with his last album, Donda. This was also kind of the case with The Life of Pablo. Don't really know any other examples, but I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of his albums were also like this. I think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was also like this, but basically, just this is all to say, he has a very unique way of releasing music, as in he'll put up a date and just be like, nah. So yeah, that's basically the Kanye segment. Once the album does drop, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna give y'all my review on it. I know y'all are very interested in how I feel about music.
The definitive review that anyone has done. It'll be the definitive review of this album by Will.
Yeah, once I drop this opinion, no one else's opinion is gonna matter.
It's gonna be so controversial that the rest of the internet is just gonna be shocked into agreeing with him.
I mean, when it comes to Kanye, opinions on his music is already super controversial. Like, there's this YouTuber named The Neil Drop. He's a music reviewer, and he's, very well known in the music fan base. And he rated one of Kanye's albums a 6 out of 10. And to this day, Kanye fans just bring it up as if it's the most horrendous thing he's done. Just like, how could you give it a 6? He obviously deserves a 500 out of 10. That's how seriously they take it.
Just like how seriously people take sports.
I would argue even more, honestly.
I don't know. I don't take. So I'm in like a Discord server. Like, this is just kind of a side tangent, but I'm in a Discord server related to my college, and some of the discussion that goes on in there is related to sports, because, Auburn is a college that does sports.
I wonder how happy those conversations are when discussing their own team.
Well, it wasn't necessarily about football. The particulars, they do talk about football, but the particular instance that I'm talking about was actually about the basketball team.
They're not talking about the football aspect. I wonder why.
But someone just absolutely blew up in one of the channels over the basketball because they got mad at something that happened. I don't know. I don't follow basketball, so I don't know what happened. But he went on like an entire rant, and I'm like, that was just kind of made me say, like, people take sports way too seriously. Like, it's...
Yeah. And I would say, I know I literally just said I'd argue there's even more of it, but I think there's, with sports, it's a mix of both online and in real life hatred, or not really hatred, but just aggression towards the topic. I feel like with people getting upset about, like, people's opinions on Kanye, or really any artist, for that matter, most of it does kind of take place online. Like, sometimes it happens in real life, but mostly it's just online. Whereas with sports, it takes place both online and in real life. So I guess my statement saying it's arguably more is not entirely true, but it just kind of depends on how you look at it. Just like, do you look at the online side of things or the in real life side of things? Because if it was in real life, then I would definitely agree that sports is taken a lot more seriously.
I don't know, but online it really could go either way. But that was just kind of me, like, going on a tangent saying, like, I just think people take sports too seriously in general. Like, I watch sports more out of curiosity than wanting to, like, see one particular team do well. Like, since I'm going to college now, obviously I kind of root for my college, even though they're not really doing that well. Or at least in football, they're not doing that well. But I don't really take the sports that seriously. Like, I watch them and I kind of see what's going on, but, like, I don't really get super upset when they lose. So, because, like, like, the way I see it is, like, sports is something that you can spectate, but, like, you can't directly influence it in any way. And in my opinion, if you can't, like, influence the outcome of something, then there's no reason to get worked up over the outcome being not how you wanted it. Because, like, like, if you had something to do with it, then sure, I can see it, maybe. But, like, the spectators don't have anything to do with how the outcome of sports. Unless it's, like, the fans in the stadium, like, influencing. Like, those can have some influence on the game, but, like, if you're watching on TV, or you're watching at home or something like that, then you don't have any influence on the outcome of the game. So I feel like getting worked up over how the game goes when you didn't have any control over it is You just shouldn't.
I agree, and I also don't agree. Like, I do agree that sometimes people can take it way too seriously, but at the same time, I do think people should still like care, like when watching a game. Because to me, anyways, it's kind of like the same when people get worked up over a movie, like something that's entirely scripted.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, cause you'll see that kind of stuff too. People will get like super mad about what happened in one particular episode, and it's like the whole thing. Like that's, in my opinion, that's even worse than sports, because like at least sports is a game where two sides are fighting and like the outcome is always uncertain. A movie or a TV show or something like that is just entirely scripted. Like the outcome was determined from the beginning before anybody had anything to do with it. So like getting mad over
I think the reason why people get emotional about it is because games and like movies like that and shows too, they like get you invested into it, and they capture your attention, and they do dramatize it. Even in sports, they do dramatize it to where like it could sway your like, and also the sports culture in general, just like growing up with a favorite team and just sticking with it. And it's like there's no objectively right team to go for, but it's just like, and it's just like being... for most people, not all people obviously, but for most people, they do understand that it is just fun entertainment. Like some could be more like tongue-in-cheek, and some could be more aggressive about it than others, but at the end of the day, most sane people understand that it is just entertainment. In the same way that when watching a movie or watching a TV show, and like all these characters that were made from scratch, not real, most people get that it's just for entertainment, and it's just like the rivalry is just something that's just for fun,
Yeah. Just like Will and I like to poke fun at each other about the Alabama versus Auburn rivalry. Like we do it for fun, but like we don't really like. Obviously, we're still like friends, and we still do the podcast and stuff like that. We still do other things. The rivalries are just for fun. It's not something that needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the end of the Kanye segment.
We turned the Kanye segment
ended long ago.
We turned the Kanye segment into sports commentary.
All right.
That's the title of the episode. The Kanye segment becomes the sports segment.
And that's why I forgot what the other titles I was going to give it were, but all right. So Steven.
Yes.
Are you familiar at all with the channel known as CinemaSins?
Yes, I am.
Again. CinemaSins.
I am. I used to watch them a lot, and I think it's kind of entertaining. And I can see what you've put here on the script. I'm gonna let you get to that.
Well, let's not refer to it yet. I'm gonna bring it up.
I'm gonna let you get to that. For the
audience as well. We don't have a topic list for them. You gotta keep that in mind. I'm
gonna let you get to that. I just want to point out before we start my position. I enjoy CinemaSins.
Okay.
I like it. I think that they make good videos, at least the videos that they've made in the past. I haven't seen any of like the more recent ones because I kind of stopped watching movies a couple of years ago. But
you stopped watching movies.
You
didn't just stop watching the channel. You just stopped watching movies.
Well, yeah.
Except for Hunger Games, I guess.
It's.
Yeah, explain that. Explain that, huh?
Okay. Anyway, I think it's most entertaining to watch CinemaSins on movies that you've seen, because it's like a new way of looking at it. So anyway, I'll let you go on with what you were gonna say about it.
So, I'm on the same boat. I haven't watched them in a while. I occasionally keep up with what they're doing, and I also like to revisit some of the old videos as well. But yeah, generally it's just one of those things. Basically, the concept of CinemaSins is they go through movies and they point out a bunch of a bunch of flaws in the movie, and they like poke fun at it, and they tally up what they say is a sin that the movie commit, which not to be confused with like sin as in like going against 10 Commandments or anything like that. No, it's just more like of any flaws the movie might have, like logical fallacies.
Most of the
movie might have, which every movie has those, you know.
At least some of the time. At least some of the time, I think that the flaws they point out are like joking kind of thing. Like, obviously, the whole premise of the video is not like serious. Obviously, it's not like it's not a criticism video. It's not saying that the movie is bad. It's just like a satire way of making fun.
Yeah,
of it.
It's like sometimes they do interject their own opinions on it, but generally speaking, it's just like it's supposed to be just kind of like a fun video, just like going through
it's satire,
flaws that
what it
movie
is.
might have. But however, all that to say, there is a lot of channels and a lot of videos on YouTube that do not like the videos that Simpsons put out, and there's a lot of videos covering their videos explaining why they're wrong and why this thing in this movie actually made sense and they're wrong for not getting it.
Okay, and I just want to point out, I think by the time you're trying to make an argument against CinemaSins that something they pointed out about a movie is wrong or something like that, you're missing the entire point of the video.
Right. And my thing, and I'm going to go a little bit more in-depth into other channels as well that face similar treatment to the, well, not treatment, but you get what I mean. Basically just channels that a lot of people, for lack of a better term, they take way too seriously for what they are. Like, I doubt the people at CinemaSins are like intending to like be like super serious with like all of, like the jokes and stuff they make about it. But there's a lot of people who do take movies and like movie criticism very seriously, so they kind of look at it in the sense that like they're pointing this out as if it's a problem. I don't like that. I need to defend this movie.
Your opinion is wrong and mine is right. That's basically the entire premise.
Yeah, it's exactly what we talked about in I think this is exactly what we talked about in our episode talking about Digital Circus. Just like the type of people, and this is not supposed to be a diss to any of them in particular, but I just want to just call it as it is, the way I see it. Just like there's just some people who just like they just think that their opinion is just super correct, and anyone else who disagrees is just super wrong. They didn't do their facts correctly. They're dumb. They're just all that.
That's just that's just YouTube comments. That's just an average YouTube comment section, is what that is.
Yeah,
like you're not allowed to have an opinion on the internet because someone will come in and someone will tell you that you're wrong. Here's the thing: it's one thing for a comment to be like that because obviously it's a comment, whatever. But when you got other channels starting to make videos, or even some dedicating the entire channel to doing this, that's when it's just kind of like, okay, buddy, sort of thing. Okay.
Like, you're putting in this much effort just to say that other person is wrong. So what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. People are just like that.
That's just
I feel like a lot of the time, more often than not, the people who do that are not necessarily trying to like obviously they are like expressing their own opinion that is contrary to someone else's opinion, but more often than not, I feel like people are probably just doing it for attention. They're doing it for the views.
Right.
Because they see something.
The type of content that does.
Here's what I think the thought process is like, you see a type of content like CinemaSins as an example that is very popular and a lot of people look at it and a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
And you see that, and you say, okay, if I make, some content that's, like, contrary to this content, and that's, like, pointing out problems with this content, like, obviously people are going to see that. People are going to either be interested to know, or people are going to be mad because they like this thing, and they want to, like, they don't like that people are talking bad about it. And it's a way to just basically draw attention to yourself. That's essentially what I think the thought process is.
For me, I think it's a little more nuanced than that, but it's kind of a thing where it's just like they do know that, like, and it's another thing too for like if a channel already has like some people who like take movies way too seriously, and think like no one can make fun of it because they think it's a disgrace or something like that, so they'll gravitate to content that's basically saying that. It's going to be kind of like an echo chamber. Well, okay, not an echo chamber.
Echo chamber.
I don't know. It's a saying, basically saying like people just watch content to feed their own morals or something. That's a political thing. We're not going to get into that. But essentially,
no politics unless we can relate it to Kanye.
What all I'm trying to say, and Sense is not the only example I want to use. Another example that I want to use is Nostalgia Critic. Now, do you know who that is?
No, I've never heard of that one.
Okay, Nostalgia Critic. He's a reviewer who he reviews movies, and the way he does it is he'll explain what happens in the movie, and then he'll interject with like a joke, and he'll also interject with like a criticism or like a compliment that he sees in the movie. But basically, what it's supposed to be is just comedy style, just making fun of the movies, making jokes out of the movie, like parroting the movie, like whatever.
Kind of similar to how Cinema Sins is, I guess, something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like, it's not exactly the same as what Cinema Sins do, but it's like it's a similar thing. And I'm pretty sure those two channels also collaborated on a video too as well. So it's just they're in the same lane. How about we say that they're in the same lane of movie reviews. And much like Cinema Sins, Nostalgia Critic often gets like a bunch of rebuttal videos, I guess you could say, about movies that he critiques. And there'll be these people defending these movies that he critiqued. Just like, after your criticism is wrong, this movie is the masterpiece, here's why. And
which again,
just like...
Again, like, I feel like those people who do that are just missing the entire point of the video. Because, like, obviously the videos are meant in, like, an entertaining comedy kind of way, like you said. Like, he's not actually, seriously saying that a movie is bad or anything like that. Or at least I assume. Again, I haven't seen.
It's basically
this one in particular, but
I guess what I'd say is his opinion on a movie. It gets highly exaggerated in a video when he plays a Nostalgia Critic character. Like when he's just himself, like Doug Walker. That's his real name. He does his own reviews as well, where it's like it's more calm and it's just more. Right. I'm not giving his address away or anything. What are you talking about?
One, two, three, 123 ABC Drive, Atlanta, Georgia.
I think he just doxed someone else entirely, but we're not gonna worry about that.
I don't know if there even is a ABC Drive in Atlanta.
I'm sure there's an ABC Drive somewhere.
Okay, well,
I'm sure.
Whoever lives at 123 ABC Drive.
To whom it may concern.
I think that's the first time our podcast
We've actually used that phrase in a way that relates to our conversation.
Our podcast.
That's amazing.
It's the we finally accomplished our goal. That's it, guys. This is the final episode.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye. That's the title. That's the title
great.
of the episode. To whom it may concern, this is the final episode.
After we got all those new subscribers too, after the short, just to break the news to them. Oh yeah, we're not making any more of these. You can just unsubscribe right now. All right. So I think that's about it for that topic. All right. Now, as for this final topic, are you aware of Yo Mama jokes?
I mean, I have access to the internet. I don't see how you can not, like, it's not necessarily just like. Okay. I feel like
more specifically, are you aware of the channel with like the blonde guy?
Oh, now that no, I know of the trend, but not of a YouTube channel.
All right. Well, this is the reason why I want to talk about this. It's kind of like a retrospective of the whole phenomenon of Yo Mama jokes. But the reason why I was talking about it, not to like actually reflect on it, but just because of this meme that was going around about the YouTube channel that made Yo Mama jokes. Like it had like
popularized them.
They would take like what?
Popularized them. I don't know.
But basically there was a meme that went around where like one of the segments where it was like, I forgot, it was like, your mama's so stupid, she bought tickets to Xbox Live. Like the way that was the joke, but the way that they said Xbox Live turned it to a joke, and to the point where it's like they would like edit it so that every single, like they would take random segments of a Yo Mama joke and they would replace the punchline with the guy just saying Xbox Live. And I just found that to be funny. Just like there was like a whole compilation of it too. And I think they also did this with another joke where it's like, your mama's so stupid, she brought us Boone to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Yeah, I heard that
one. And again, the way he said it turned into a meme where it's like they replaced every punchline with them just screaming, the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I don't know. That honestly sounds.
That's kind of all I wanted to talk about, low-key, but I also was interested if he had anything to say about the whole thing about Yo Mama jokes.
I don't know.
Because I remember back in middle school, everyone was throwing them out, and it was turned to a competition.
Yeah.
And to who could make the better Yo Mama joke.
Yeah, I did see that back when I used to. As you know, I was homeschooled through pretty much all of high school, but I did used to actually go to school. So, yeah, there was a time when that was kind of a thing. I never really was on board with it, because it just seemed kind of dumb. Those type of jokes are just like it's just cheap. Like they feel like really cheap jokes that are just not really all that funny.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is. And there was moments where it's just like,
I feel like they're kind of like they might be a little funny. Like they might make you laugh like the first time you hear one, but like when they get as common as they were and like everybody's saying them about everything, like it just kind of loses its humor value and it just becomes
eventually you start hearing like you just start hearing all of them and you've just heard all the best ones and now it's just like, what else is there?
Yeah.
And I think that reflects in like the in the YouTube channel of Yo Mama too. It's just like they just started adding new segments like Yo Mama's so slimy or Yo Mama's so American. It's just like once you just go that route, it's just like it's just clear you're running out of ideas.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so many that you can do before it just gets old.
But when it was at its peak back in middle school, like when it was at its peak, it was pretty good. But like you said, just like after a while, people just heard it too much to the point where it's like it just wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
But I will admit the trend. Like, I'm not talking like it was a recent thing. I've been meaning to talk about this for a good while, and now it's like that trend has died.
It's been on the it's been in our like list of topics to cover for like a few weeks.
Yeah, but it's just something that just made me laugh hysterically. Just like taking a bunch of Yo Mama jokes, just replacing the punchline, just with that.
I love how the other thing.
If I showed you a video, you would see.
The other thing, like I'm kind of curious now, because on the script for this episode, he just wrote Yo Mama jokes retrospective, but under the like list of topics where we like wrote it as a topic to cover, it says Yo Mama jokes Xbox Live meme. Yeah. Oh wait, the Xbox, you talked about that. Oh.
Yeah. Did you just not realize what that was put in there for?
No, I thought when I saw Xbox Live meme, like my brain is thinking like Xbox Live chat for some reason. Like somebody turned that into a meme on Xbox Live, like the voice chat. I'm a little slow, guys, okay?
Wow.
I'm a little slow.
Alright, well. Alright, anyways, that's about it, folks. I hope y'all have, like I said before, I hope y'all have a very good Merry Christmas, and as always,
please like and subscribe for another episode of
To Whom It May Concern. Cool guy out. Hold on. Cool guy out of here.
Everyone remember that I know the difference between Gatorade, and Powerade. They're different.